There was a time when these 7 handguns didn't get a second glance. I watched shooters, myself included, walk right past them, chasing the newest hype, laughing off the old names collecting dust in the shop. This past year, something changed. The same guns everyone swore off suddenly started showing up on belts and in range bags, making noise nobody could ignore. I've seen more regret in gun shops these last months than I have in years. Guys buying back what they once dumped, dealers stunned to see old inventory sell out overnight. I'll own it, I made the same mistake, sold off legends I thought were finished, then caught myself watching someone else outshoot me with the very pistol I gave up. One of these comebacks left the shop staff flat out speechless, and another, it outperformed a supposed must-have from last winter, no contest. Leave now, you'll miss the comeback that flipped the whole conversation, and I guarantee it's not the gun you'd expect. I used to think letting go of my old Beretta PX4 Storm was nothing. A quick trade for something sleeker, more modern, maybe a pistol that got more attention on the shelf. The deal was done for a couple of $100, no second thoughts. I told myself I'd never miss it. Funny how that works out. This past year, I started noticing something off at every shop. Used PX4s vanished, prices on the few left climbing every month, guys who once trashed the gun suddenly asking if I still had mine, rumors coming for will discontinued even soon. But it really hit when I ran into the guy who bought mine. He'd always joked the PX4 was police surplus, nothing worth bragging about. Now, he's got it tuned up, holster worn smooth, showing it off at the range. First round of drills, he outshot every one of us, including me. Group after group, with the pistol I'd written off as dead weight. Every eye turned. He grinned. I just felt sick. That's regret you feel in your gut, not your wallet. When a gun you tossed aside becomes the one nobody can find, you realize how bad a mistake can sting. The PX4's comeback wasn't hype. It was a hard lesson I watched play out shot after shot. Last summer, I was shooting a solo at my local range. Table stacked with all the latest pistols, most of them upgrades I'd convinced myself were essential. Funny thing is, the old Sig Sauer P226 was buried at the bottom of my bag. Completely forgotten. I ran mag after mag through a new Sig, then a shiny CZ, only to get hit with the same cycle. Weird malfunctions, jammed rounds, frustration mounting, as every improved pistol started acting up. At that point, patience gone, I dug out the P226. It was dusty, hadn't been cleaned in months, maybe longer, didn't even check the lube. I loaded it with the leftover junk ammo, stuffed the other guns choked on, pulled the trigger, and the gun just ran. Clean, smooth, every single shot. Mag after mag, zero issues. It felt almost insulting how easy it was for that old workhorse to show up the new kids. It stung to realize the one pistol I'd ignored ended up running circles around everything else. No hype, no drama, just a stubborn refusal to quit. That kind of lesson doesn't fade easy. But if watching the P226 bail me out wasn't humbling enough, what happened next at the range pushed the whole idea of forgotten handguns to a place I hadn't felt in years. The next one? Let's just say its return wasn't quiet, and nobody left that day without talking about it. Back in the 2000s, the HKUSP was the tactical king, overbuilt, respected, and impossible to ignore. I put thousands of rounds through mine, watched everyone in Texas swear by it. Then the crowd drifted. Every SHOT Show, some new slim pistol came along, and the USP started gathering dust. Even diehards traded theirs away for lighter, trendier guns. By 2026, mine felt like a relic in the safe. One afternoon, after a new striker-fired pistol failed again at the range, I gave up and dragged out the old USP. All those familiar feelings hit. Soft recoil, tank-like confidence, not a hiccup. Mid-session, a couple of guys next bench over kept fighting malfunctions with the brand new compacts. After a string of jams, one of them called out, half joking, "Mind if I try the dinosaur?" He ran a mag, and you could see it. The surprise when every round cycled smooth. No drama. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. Phones came out. Guys started searching used listings. A few even asked what I'd take for mine. But nobody could shake the question that hung in the air after, if all these new guns are so advanced, why did the one everyone left behind become the last thing they trusted? I walked out, thinking maybe we'd been chasing the wrong thing all along. It was the worst stretch of the ammo crisis. Late at night, just me, the kitchen table, and a scattered mess of mismatched rounds. All my favorites sat open and useless, each one choking on the cheap steel case and bottom barrel reloads I'd scraped together. Pride kept me reaching for the names I loved, but the only pistol left unfired was the Ruger SR9. Never the hero, never the centerpiece, just the gun I kept just in case, and always last in line. Out of options, I stripped it down, loaded the ugliest ammo I had, and ran a slow, silent test in the dim light of the back porch. No drama, no sense of pride, just round after round cycling without complaint, where everything else failed. The SR9 never asked for respect, and using it didn't feel like a win. If anything, it made me resent how bad things had gotten. But the truth stuck. Alone, far from the crowd, and without anyone to see it. The one pistol I'd never boasted about turned out to be the only one I could trust when nothing else mattered. I still don't know if I respect it or resent it. Maybe that's what survival feels like. Last fall, I'd stopped by my regular spot in Fort Worth. Just needed a few parts. Nothing urgent. It was one of those slow afternoons, coffee in hand. The kind of day where you hang around longer than you mean to, swapping stories with the counter guys. The used case was half empty, but a couple of younger customers at the far end started in about dead guns. I caught them rolling their eyes at the CZP-10C, saying it was a nothing gun, a flash in the pan. Nobody cares about them now. That's when one of the old staffers, Guy, who's known me since before the beard went gray, gave me that look. You still got one of those, right? Bet it'd still outrun half the stuff they're showing off. I shrugged it off, but the words stuck. That night, back home, I dug my PC out of the safe. Hadn't even wiped it down in months. Loaded it, stepped into the garage, just to see if I'd been fooling myself. First mag, no issues. Second, same story. No fuss, no drama, just steady shooting. I didn't text anyone or post about it. Still, next time I hear the crowd talk, I'll know the truth and wonder how many good guns I've let slip, just because I listened to someone else. My Walther P99 AS has spent years buried in the back of the safe. Always the hand-me-down. Never the first pick. It was a gift from a family friend, a serious shooter, someone whose opinion actually carried weight. But with all the newer, flashier pistols crowding my rotation, the P99 AS faded into the background. I never sold it, just never thought about it. Last year, during a slow afternoon in the garage, a buddy, someone whose skill I trust, noticed the old Walther sitting out. "Why don't you ever run that thing?" he asked, half joking. I shrugged, admitted I couldn't remember the last time I'd fired it. He asked to try it. I loaded up a few mags, feeling almost embarrassed to hand it over. He ran through them, paused, then turned to me and said flat out, "This trigger's better than most of what you've got now. Feels like a real shooter." And that hit harder than I wanted to admit. I'd ignored something special just because it never fit the favorite slot. Packing up that day, I couldn't shake the regret. How many other good guns had I overlooked by chasing trends? And if that's the case, what does that say about the very last pistol on this list? The one even I thought would never matter again? Last year, I headed out to Arizona to visit an old friend, the kind of guy who never let me forget he was ahead of the curve, always running the latest plastic wonder from the gun mags. I threw my CZ75 SP01 in the bag on purpose just to remind him what a real legend looked like, what decades of engineering felt like in your hands. When I pulled it from the case at his place, he grinned, acting clueless, asking what the big deal was with that old hunk of steel. I could hear the skepticism in his voice, maybe even a little mockery. We hit the range the next morning. I handed him the SP01, told him to really run it, not just poke holes in paper. First mag, his pace was all confidence, but by the third, I watched his eyes change. Every shot hit, the recoil barely there. the trigger smoother than anything he'd brought. He didn't say much, just handed it back, suddenly quiet, and glanced back at the bench where his new must-have sat untouched. Walking off the line, I didn't need to argue. Some guns force respect the old-fashioned way by outshooting the noise and leaving even the doubters lost for words. And if you think that's where the list ends, you'll want to see what came up next. Because still, there is one bonus pick nearly flipped this whole countdown upside down. All through 2025, something strange was happening with the FN 509 Tactical down here in Texas. I started seeing them disappear from the shelves. Not just at the big box stores, but in the small town shops where they'd always had a few gathering dust. At first, the talk was all rumor. Guys at the counter speculating that FN was about to pull the plug. Maybe the Tactical was getting discontinued. Nobody seemed too bothered. Most buyers just moved on to the next shiny thing, and for a while it looked like the 509 was quietly fading out. That changed fast. I sat down with an FN dealer in January. Figured I'd get the real story before the internet rumors got out of hand. Instead, he laughed. "Can't keep them in stock," he said. "I've got buyers calling from Houston, Dallas, even Amarillo, asking for 509 Tacticals every week. Folks want the factory optics cut, the suppressor-ready setup. Features other guns just aren't nailing." Sure enough, next time I walked through my local, there was a handwritten sign by the counter. "No FN 509 Tacticals left. More coming soon." It's a funny thing. Everyone thought the pistol was on its way out. By the time 2026 rolled in, it turned out to be the comeback nobody saw coming. Some guns don't go quietly. Sometimes they come back stronger, with the market 2 steps ahead of the rumors. Funny thing about handguns, what the crowd calls outdated has a way of roaring back when nobody's looking. The same pistols we mocked just became the ones everyone's chasing. Even the so-called experts didn't see this wave coming. And I'll admit, I've never been so glad to be proven wrong. These comebacks made every range session a wake-up call. And I watched shooters scramble to undo the trades and sales they once bragged about. Now it's your turn. Which comeback caught you off guard? Which gun did you sell or skip only to wish you had it back? Drop your regret below, because if you think this list is where the surprises end, you're just getting started. I'm Steve. Stay sharp, and if you miss these comebacks, trust me, you're not alone. You're not.